I went into this completely blind, didn't know anything about it, didn't want to know anything about it. Big fan of both of you, so I knew that was enough for me to watch the show. I love scary stuff, but from the first episode, I wanted to know what the heck was going to happen between the two of you. Like, I was invested in finding out, is this going to be a bigger explosion, a bigger bomb than what horrible things are going to happen? And Scott, I wanted to start with you. How do you even orient yourself as a character who's going through one crisis and then you've got another one that's just about to kick off?
Yeah, I don't know which one is worse in this show, but yes, where we start in this show, yeah, how to orient myself, I don't know. I mean, the truth is, the scripts were strong enough that you just sort of jumped off and hoped for the best. I think in all pilots that you do, it's always a matter of a bit of doing that. But with this, it was really a really interesting, challenging, exciting, scary place to start a character and show where you're right in the middle of a drama. You don't have any, beforehand. All we know is, X character's done X bad thing. In this case, my husband character cheating on my wife. And we're having to sort of pick up the pieces of that if we can do that, and that's very dramatic and very intense, and then this other terrible thing is happening at the same time. Awesome, unique way to exciting way to start a show, and I loved it.
And Yvonne, for you, I would classify The Handmaid's Tale in some ways as a horror story, but I think this may be your first true like horror project. Did that kind of appeal to you playing in a genre that was pushing it a little bit further than you've done before?
I yes, no. I mean, I love the genre. I used to be hooked on this genre. And it wasn't necessarily no, in fact, it wasn't at all the genre aspect of it that had me interested or wanting to get involved. It was the scripts and the writing and Ian, his vision for the show. I think the fact that we were sort of in alignment in that we were kind of leaning, not looking at it through the horror lens, essentially. So just kind of looking at it from the point of view of establishing the relationships in the show, the characters, really investing in the characters and Maggie and James and the kids and everybody else and how that played out. I think that really it makes for a successful horror piece, or any genre really. I mean, if you're really invested in the characters and if you've done the work with that, then everyone's along for the ride with you. And I think that was sort of the most exciting part and the reason why I'm here today, and a part of it.
And when I was a kid, horror movies had a very different meaning or connotation for me. As a parent, having kids and then going back and watching horror, it hits me in a very different way. As a parent yourself, did you feel playing, the maternal side of things, having that kid, did that strike you differently than it would if you were just in, like an action or something that doesn't involve the peril of children?
Yeah, I think the stakes are like immediately very high. I mean, you're in ultimate protection mode. You would do anything for your kids. So it definitely the stakes are so much higher. I mean, given that there's kids involved, given that the marriage is falling apart, I mean, the stakes are already super high with that. Then it's the kids, then it's everything else and the circumstances, and then it's not trusting anybody, and suddenly people are dying and horrible things are happening. It just is such a really cool concoction of elements that I hope have audiences sort of spinning out and wanting to watch, from one show to the next.
And Scott, same for you. There's some similarities between this and The Strangers in the sense that there's a character with some challenging relationship stuff going on, and then batshit crazy things start to happen. Do you feel with the years that have been between that project and this one that you're looking at it through a different lens where you're at in your life now?
Totally. I mean, that was a relationship that was disintegrating or challenged in some ways. And this is similar in that way too, but also, yeah, when you add in the kids, it's a whole different thing. And now having kids of my own, it's yeah, that hits home. But the one thing that does remind me of The Strangers in this way is that there was not this rushing through of the relationship, or the family dynamic, or the relationship dynamic that I think a lot of genre pieces do to their detriment. They don't, it's all glossed over and it's just rushed over. It's just doing the perfunctory things in order to get to the second act, and this felt very genuine. Brian Martino and the Strangers, and Ian McCulloch here. And I knew Ian's work from other stuff, so I knew he was going to bring that to it. And when I read these scripts, it was just really there. So that's exciting. I think you really need that in order for the audience to go on that ride. You really need to believe that this is a family, and that's easier said than done, surprisingly.
And Yvonne, last question, and I'm going to intentionally put you on the spot here, is I asked everybody else, as this is a really intense show, really high stakes, really emotional, scary, in between scenes, I'm sure there has to be some lightness, some fun. Who was the most fun person on set?
I think, well, I think we all like a bit of fun in between scenes. We all, I don't know that anyone really kept a straight face, or maybe I kept a straight face sometimes. No, Scott definitely keeps a straight face sometimes, but also Scott's the funniest, I think. So, he's definitely the most, maybe witty, I would say. You got a witty sense of humor. So yeah, but we all had a blast. I mean, I don't think anyone was in it to sort of stay serious for the whole day, which is nice. It's refreshing. We can go in and out of the drama.
Well, you can take that away, Scott. 5 out of 5 people said you're the most fun person on set.
All
So,
right, I'll take it, man. This is great. That was
awesome.
a
Well,
great day for me.
the show is fantastic. Can't wait for everybody to check it out. Thank you both so much for your time today.
We can't trust each other. We stay alert, watch each other. We're terrified.
This show is awesome. And I will say both of you are amongst my favorite people working today. Chaske, English is badass. Love that show.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
And it was odd to me watching this series because your character is just so normal in watching the show. Like there isn't these extraordinary odds at the beginning. It's just, he's a dad. He does normal things to protect his family, and then things just go sideways. What was it like kind of orienting yourself in this series?
It was a bit challenging, but Ian laid down a great blueprint on where to go with the character, and they had great directors that were very hands-on to help me get where I needed to go. What I liked about Ruben, yeah, he is a family man. I like that he is sort of the everyday guy, and I've never had the opportunity to play like just the everyday guy. And so I felt that was a relief and also a challenge. He goes through a lot of stuff, and I was very blessed with all the material that my character received to go through.
And Rob, everything you're in, I love. I mean, it's you got Turk, you got Winning Time, like everything that you're in. I'm like, you elevate the series. It's I don't know how you do it. You play young characters, old characters. It's like you're eternal. You're immortal. And when I started to watch this show, went in totally blind, didn't know anything about it. I'm like, where's Rob in this series? Like I didn't see where it was coming from, but this is a unique character. Like, how did you even figure out how to play this role?
Man, trusting Ian, having a conversation with him and the expectation, and then reading the phenomenal writing, pulling from my education and training and life experience and imagination, and really being thankful to have this much lifting in a show, because I rarely get this much to do. So I was super, super excited to be trusted by Ian and Peacock and the producers to bring this character to life.
Now, this is a show that it's coming out right in time for Halloween, and when you look at the marketing and the way that they're setting it up, they make it seem like it's horror, and then when you start watching it, you feel like it could be sci-fi, but there's more to it. It doesn't kind of fit into one category or the other. What was it like reading the story, reading the script, seeing how this story is going to go? Did it feel like any of those genre stories to you, or did this feel like a family struggle kind of thing? Chaske, we'll start with you.
You're right. It didn't feel like a horror. When working, it felt like I was in a drama, a psychological drama, and that's a lot of material to use as an actor, which you're blessed if you get all that. And I felt that, yeah, I didn't see the horror aspect until I just saw the first 2 episodes last night, and then I got it. Then the editing, the music, all that stuff. Then it just kind of came together.
when I read it, it just felt like a bunch of human beings going through human shit, you know, and it was very attractive to see the humanity that was put on page. The horror elements coming in it is like a bonus, you know what I mean? And I really give that credit to Ian and his vision for putting Teacup together and freedom that he was allowed to exercise to give you what you see on screen now.
And Rob, there's some similarities. I don't think it's close to it, but there's some similarities with Stranger Things. And in that series, it's more kind of you're tangential to what's going on. It's more like you're watching what the fuck is happening. But in this, you're like right in the middle of what's happening.
Yeah.
Uh, what is the experience difference like when you're right at the forefront versus kind of being on the periphery of what's happening?
Oh man, it's fun. It's like you got the light on your hat and you leading everybody through the tunnel. You know what I mean? It was very exciting, very fun. Actually, gave me more to play with because I had more input in the story. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
yeah, it was just like playing tennis with high level tennis players. You know, we just show up prepared and ready to play.
And Chaske, for you, you've done some emotionally weighty stuff over your last several projects. It's been heavy, and this is heavy too. But when cameras weren't rolling, who was the most fun person on set? Who's the person that kind of kept it light and kept it fun?
Probably Scott.
Oh yeah?
Scott, yeah, yeah, he kept it pretty lively. He kept it very light, and you need that because it can get very material like this. You know, as an actor, you can turn it on and off, but after 6 months of hanging on, it kind of weighs on you a little bit. At night, I would watch Rick and Morty just to get out of that frame of mind. So I try to find things that make me happy when I'm playing. Like you said, I've really played a lot of emotional, heavy characters the past few years. Waiting for a comedy. If you know one out there, action comedy, romantic comedy, I am down. I'm a good best friend.
Awesome. Well,
I can play a good best friend.
it's been a pleasure talking to both of you. The show's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today, and I hope they team you two up for a Marvel spin-off series.
That
Oh
would be cool, man.
yeah,
That
How
would
cool
be
would that
cool.
be?
that would be cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh my God.
What happened?
Loved the series so far, was not expecting it at all. And Caleb, wanted to start with you. This is intense. This is you've got so many crazy things in those early episodes and having to play, don't want to give anything away, the different modes that you have to go into. Was it scary making the show? Because it's scary watching it.
No, because I had read all of the scenes and I knew what was gonna happen and I knew all of the actors. And after each take everybody would go back to being light, happy and smiling.
And was it, being outside, being in the dark, doing all of that kind of stuff? Was that exhausting? I was exhausted just watching it, like having to trudge through the forest and do things like that.
No, well, no, it wasn't so scary or anything because there were just so many people there.
Yeah. And also, for your scenes in the woods, some of them you had a whole set built inside the stages. So some of his stuff was actually not in the real woods. So that must have been pretty cool too. That set was so cool to look at. It was all for him and his scenes in the woods at night.
That's awesome. You can't even tell when you're watching it.
Yeah.
Emily, for you, I think every one of the characters in this series, at least in the early episodes, has something going on. You feel like the only character who is kind of holding everything together, like you've got to take the brunt of everything. You don't have as much of the psychological stuff of your own at the beginning, but you're taking it all on. Was that intense to play that, kind of keeping everybody on level?
It was fun to play with because she's just a teenage girl and she is not expecting any of the stuff that's going on. And I think she has to really just step up to the plate and there's that scene that I don't want to, spoil anything, but where that is expressed, she has a conversation with her mom and she is basically told like, I will need your help for this. And that was such a cool pivotal point for me to play with because she just really has to grow up. And yeah, so I think I love that strength that she has in her, and she's already quite mature for a 16-year-old. So that's always fun to play with when you get those younger characters that have so much depth. And yeah, I think she is pretty brave and pretty fierce, and I part of that comes from her mother, I guess. Yeah.
And you had to endure some pretty bad dad jokes through these episodes, some pretty rough jokes. Was it
Yes.
lighter between scenes? Because this is obviously pretty heavy, dark material, but when you're not filming, was everybody just kind of light and having fun?
Oh, totally. This whole time. And we're not just saying that to say it. We just had so much fun shooting this. Our showrunner, Ian McCulloch, is just this genius and he is so funny. And then Scott and Yvonne are also very, very hilarious people. And so yeah, and we got to the three of us, I mean me, Caleb, and Luciano LaRue, who plays Nicholas in the show. We had some good scenes together, and we just hang out and have fun. And the cast and the crew just had a blast doing this, really.
And Caleb, did it feel like Emily was your big sister while you were filming the show? Did it feel like, oh, she's my big sister on camera and off camera?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, like I I can feel like the connection pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean, it was really important for me. I grew up acting. I grew up in Montreal acting all in French stuff. And this was my first time working in the States, but all of that to say, I was that youngest cast member once. I know how that feels like, and I could just see myself in him, and I just wanted him to feel like we were besties and like we'd have fun with this. And he did such an amazing job with all of it, and it was, we had some cool scenes together, and I really enjoyed all of it. So it was important for me to just build trust and a good relationship between us, and then we had fun with the rest of it. Yeah.
And Emily, for you, this is a scary story. For you,
Yeah.
does this feel like a horror series? Does it feel like a sci-fi series? Does it feel like a family drama that happens to have some other stuff going on? How would you describe it?
I would say all of that is a part of it, That's what I love about this specific show, is that it's unique because of that. It has so many layers. You get the horror elements, you get the thriller elements, you get the drama elements, you get all of that. And it all stays very grounded because of Ian's writing and because of how just relatable all of those characters are. So it's a bunch of things, and there will be something for everyone, I think, in this. Yeah.
Well, it's really great. I enjoyed what I saw so far. Can't wait to see more. Caleb, you're awesome. Really
Thank
great
you.
job here. Emily, you're awesome as well. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thanks for having us.
Ian, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm great. Loved the episodes I saw. And I guess
Oh,
the
thank
first
you.
question I had, where the hell did this come from?
Uh, where the hell did this come from? It came from in here. It came from a reaction to and inspiration from Robert McCammon's book, Stinger. When I read it, I thought, I love this. I want to turn it on its head. I want to take everything that's big and make it small. I want to take everything that's grandiose and make it intimate. I want to take everything that's urban and make it rural. I want to isolate these people and I want to see what happens. And I just got excited by it. And my job, which I think it's weird for me, it's weird to say my job because it's just what I do. It's what I think about, is to get inspired. That's all it is. And the inspiration is, how do I tell a story that is a good story but feels new and feels different? And I think we got away with it. I think that if I were to ask you, if you watch episode 1, where is this going to go? Where is it going to end up at the end of the season? I don't think you would be able to answer the question correctly. I think that's my job, to tell you a story that you don't know where it's going to end, and you want to know, obviously. So I don't know. It came from in here, you know.
And that's what I think I love, is that it's so hard these days to go into a series or a film without trailers kind of spoiling everything. The fact, you change the title and it's not the same title as the book. And even from the very beginning, I'm thinking, oh, there's shades of Stephen King. Is it like Under the Dome, but it's not Under the Dome? There's elements of Lost with kind of that isolation. You don't know what's going on, but it's not Lost. And it's not horror, but it is. It's not sci-fi, but it is. And it's all kind of connected by the family drama. Because right in the first 20 minutes, you're throwing a lot of stuff about characters and how they're interacting and how they're connected. The kids, just that opening scene, you've got Rob and what he looks like in the series, and it's just I couldn't orient myself in the best way possible. I mean that it keeps you off kilter. I think that's the
Yeah.
best way to describe it. And my question, from designing how all of this fits together, was this always envisioned for you as fitting into a limited series kind of restriction of episodes, or was this something you ever thought, I'm going to make this into something broader that just keeps going? Did you start out from one vantage or the other?
Uh, Very much from the ongoing series point of view.
Okay.
As you will see at the end of episode 8, it is a jumping off point to a second season. If we're so lucky to get one, then we'll see what happens. But never did I think of it as a limited series. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's long form narrative, and that means a story that keeps going, an engine that can sustain characters in a world for multiple seasons. So I came at it from that point of view. Yeah, did that answer the question?
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And so from the structure of what Under the Dome, I think is a great example that, you had the source material, they started going in different directions with the series, and then as the seasons went on, they had to reveal enough to keep people from bailing, but then it's like, well, now I know the secret, why am I sticking around?
Yeah.
So is your idea here to keep these characters connected to the overall, or is this something you explore different people in different avenues if it were to continue going on?
I think both. I think the freedom of a second, third season is that you get to go down these rabbit holes of different characters. But this is the core characters in the first season, hopefully the first season. They are our avatars. They are our family who will take us through this journey. Now, we start to care about other people, but you have to give the audience a chance to invest in characters before you can go off and be in their lives for a while. I would love the freedom to do that, but you always want to keep it so that the audience is experiencing this through the characters. It's the same thing that the characters we don't know any more than the characters, and the characters don't know any more than we do. We're all experiencing it at the same time is what we try to do.
So if this were to go on for multiple years, do you know where the ultimate end game is for the very end?
Absolutely not. And that is by design. I am a writer who I do something that I think is probably not the smartest way to do things, not the easiest way to do things, but if I knew what was going to happen at the end, I would be bored. I would be a court stenographer, and I want to know what happens next. And if I go too far into the future, sure, I have ideas, I know some things, but I want the characters in the story to tell me what's going to happen next so that it's exciting for me, because otherwise, I want to be an audience member too, which is, you can't have it both ways. Maybe you can. It's not, it's definitely not the easiest path, but yeah, I know without knowing, if that makes sense.
Awesome. It does. And as an audience member, I can't wait to see where it goes next. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Take them down to the riverside.
Hello!